that was kind of the genesis of this idea. Could I break through these barriers by actually writing about my neighbors from inside their own homes? About half the people that I approached said yes, they'd work with me. And then, a number of those, eventually, I did kind of pop the question, could I stay over and write about, a full 24 hours of your life from inside your own home? In the year 2000, there was a tragedy on my street. Down the street from me was a family, a husband and wife. They were both physicians, and their 2 children, a boy 11 and a girl 12. And one night the husband came home and he shot and killed his wife and then took his own life. The kids ran screaming into the night. What struck me about this whole calamity, besides the tragedy of it, was it didn't seem that very much in my street had changed. In effect, this whole family had vanished overnight. I didn't know this family well, and then in asking around, I found that very few people on the street knew them well. In fact, people didn't seem to know each other beyond a superficial level. I did read the literature, the studies that showed that what I was experiencing on my street was, widespread, but I just didn't want to write about the phenomenon as a trend. I really personally felt isolated and wanted to see if I could connect with my neighbors. At some point, the memory of childhood sleepovers came to me. I remembered that experience as a kid of staying over at a friend's house, and the part I liked the most was not actually the sleeping over, but it was the waking up the next morning and coming down to breakfast. Because suddenly, those other strangers in that house, like my friend's mom or my friend's older sister, suddenly would become real people. And then the next time I'd go visit my friend at that house, they didn't feel like strangers. After about 2.5, 3 years, I pretty much had what I thought was my story and had a draft. The New York Times, what are the chances of getting an op-ed published there? Cold. I didn't know anybody. So I polished up the piece a little more and I hit send and really didn't think much else about it. And then 2 days later, I pick my son up from high school and I come home, I go up to my study, I log on to my email, and there's this email from the New York Times. And I opened it up, and there was this short email that said, thanks for giving us the opportunity to read your essay. Actually, we'd be delighted to publish it. And then about a week later, the piece appears. It was just a very emotional experience for me after all these years of working on the subject to see that, not only had the Times editors seen something universal in it, but in fact, it was being borne out in these readers' comments that were coming in from all over. I felt all of a sudden there was this huge neighborhood of people around the world who were responding to the very same thing that I had been struggling to write about.